Okay, Gemini, your energy is coming through strong here. You still want your freedom. I'm definitely feeling that Gemini still want their freedom. However, Gemini feels like that energy is going to transition a little bit. You're going to go from freedom to having conversations about why you need the freedom. And this pertains specifically to those of you who've recently had a separation, even if it wasn't a full breakup. This could even be smaller scale. I just needed to get away for the weekend with my friends. I needed a little space. And you may not have communicated to your partner why you needed the space, that it wasn't just, I want to be social with my friends and go away for the weekend. There may be some deeper issues there. Recognize that there are some karmic connections, and that's going to be spotlighted now that we are in Mercury retrograde. So there is going to be some work that needs to be done. The positive here, Gemini, is that I am really feeling that something will be healed over the next 2 weeks. So for those of you who came into the month separated, you may be rekindling before the end of July going into August. There's a lot of positive energy here. So Gemini, let's get a little bit more clarity on this. Gemini in love, July 15th through the end of the month, especially for, ooh, okay, Gems, let me get this card. Gemini, okay. Free yourself, just flew across the room. Free yourself, this is what I'm talking about. Gemini, what did you need to free yourself from? Do you have full clarity on that? Because if you don't, Spirit's going to slow you down a little bit until you make the time and the space to get to the core of what the issue is. It's not just that you needed to go away with friends. It's that somebody may have been smothering you at home. Is somebody being a little clingy? Is there a bigger issue going on? Your partner needs you to communicate what the real issue is. Even if you don't have full clarity, all you can say is, I don't know, I'm feeling a little smothered. I don't know what's happening. There may be a bigger issue, but you need to start having the conversations. But it feels like, Gemini, because you've taken that step to free yourself, to have space, the space has allowed you to gain the clarity you need to actually heal this. Look, stay optimistic about your love life at the core of this. Gemini, for many of you, as long as you stay positive and as long as you're communicating with your partner and you are trying to resolve the separation, you guys on the other side of this are going to be okay. Not only will you receive the healing you need at this time, but it feels like this issue will make you guys stronger. It does feel like there was an issue that had been lingering for quite some time. You may have not been fully aware that there was an issue. Just intuitively, you may have picked up, all right, something feels a little off. Even on the surface level, everything looks great. Something's wrong. Okay, it lingered long enough. Good for you, Gemini, for taking this first step. Okay, but stay optimistic. For many of you, partners are meant to come back. For many of you. So stay optimistic about that. For others of you, Gem, if you get out of a relationship and you don't have any intentions of a reconciliation, stay optimistic about love in general, because it does feel like once you deal with some karmic issues, especially if you were dealing with a karmic pattern in the last relationship that you chose to get out of, yes, you need to handle that, okay? But it does feel like with or without a partner, there is healing here for Gemini, and in this freedom and in this space, especially inner child healing, which is how you need to tackle karmic issues, okay? Especially working on the inner child level, because it's usually where the karmic issues stem from. Please stay optimistic about love. I feel Gemini is getting out there pretty quickly. If you are newly single and you get out there and you stay optimistic to love in general, okay? Keep it light, have fun, and be social. Gemini, this is your card. When this pops, I always get Gemini here. You may be attracting another Gemini. You may reconcile with another Gemini, okay? Especially somebody who may have Gemini pretty strong in their chart, even if it's not their sun sign. Definitely getting a lot of Gemini here for you. But this also just speaks to your inner child, that playful Gemini nature. If you're surrounding yourself with people that don't appeal to that or don't appreciate that in you, those are people you will walk away from and you're not going to tolerate, especially if you're single and you're out there and you're open to new love. Don't get too serious with anybody too quickly, okay? Mercury retrograde, you may miss some things if you do, but have fun. That is so key for Gemini. For those of you who had the separation, you still want to heal and work together with the partner, maybe get back together. When you guys start to have these conversations, yes, there will be depth, but you also need to spend some time together, especially if you do reconcile. Spend time together having fun. Do something that is truly fun for the both of you, that's silly, that's a little childish even, but that Geminis really love. It feels like you're going to need that more than your partner needs that, Gemini, because if you guys get back together and it's heated and it feels like things haven't resolved and you're not enjoying time, it feels like you'll split again pretty quickly. But look at this, okay? So free yourself. Why would you get back together with this person? Why is it worth healing this karmic issue and evolving past it? Because for many of you, you've called in a soulmate. For many of you, Gemini, you're with somebody who is truly meant to stick around in your life. But soulmates bring up karmic issues and karmic patterns. Some soulmates do that, so you know what to heal, and then they move on and they leave you with that lesson. But for others, Gemini, some soulmates show up with the lessons, but they are meant to stay. For many of you, you've called in a soulmate who really is meant to stay. So don't walk away from anybody too quickly at this time, unless it's something that's been in the works for quite a while, okay? For others of you, you free yourself from a toxic situation, somebody that you really, you're not going to entertain. Even if they come back and they're begging you for a second shot, Gemini, you're over it. That's the kind of soulmate you're calling in. You're calling in somebody who, yes, is going to show up with karmic issues and lessons to be learned. And I think as a Gemini, you genuinely really like that, right? You like to work through those kinds of things, especially consciously, and someone who can challenge you. That's actually a really good match for Gemini. But it's a soulmate who's not just going to show up with the lesson and then they're out. This is someone who really wants to stay. There is longevity. If you're single, you have to keep, if you want to call this kind of a person in, if you do. Some of you just want to have fun. You just want to be out with your friends and you're over any kind of seriousness and those karmic patterns. You just want to be out having fun. That's okay for you too at this time, Gemini. But for those of you who really genuinely want to call in a life partner or a serious partner, you have the opportunity to do that now. But utilize law of attraction. Keep those thoughts positive, okay? It does feel like for some of you to keep thoughts positive, you still have someone and something else from the past that still needs to be released. Stay optimistic. Center of the reading is being clarified by let go of control issues. This doesn't feel like your energy, Gemini. To stay positive. To stay positive. If you're single, you got to let the person go who kept showing up with the control issues. For many of you, this is the karmic situation that's showing up. So instead of needing to call in another soulmate that's controlling and that may create a toxic environment, what can you do in your free time now? By staying optimistic, sure, about love, but also maximizing your free time to work on your inner child. What can you do? What role do you play? When these red flags show up at the very beginning of a relationship, do you stick it out a little bit too long? Or do you recognize them and do you get out? Some people may show up that you're dating and they may hold space as a soulmate in that way. They may show up with those controlling those red flags 1, 2, 3 dates in and you go, oh, I already know what that is. Thank you for your time. I'm going to go home now. Please don't call me. Love and light. Okay? And for others of you, Gemini, you're not going to need somebody new to show up to help you heal this. You know what it is. Just make sure you're maximizing your free time to make it worthwhile. For those of you in relationships, you've taken some space. It may not have been a full-blown breakup, but there's some space. You may be dealing with control issues. You may be feeling smothered by somebody, okay? So you take your space. How have you contributed to that? It's not about placing blame on you, Gemini, but this is how we get to the core of karmic issues. I really think you guys know this process well, and I think that you enjoy and appreciate this. Okay, so we're going there. If you've called in kind of a clingy partner, okay, so they're not like the toxic, mean, aggressive, controlling, but you still feel kind of smothered. Someone's rushing you into commitments. They could have some codependence there, and also creates a sort of controlling environment because, yeah, they're catering to your every need, but also not really recognizing that maybe you need to take things a little bit slower. Or what does Gemini really need? Okay, they may be giving you what they think you need without actually fully grasping what Gemini needs at the core. I am definitely feeling someone feeling a little smothered here. So you look at that situation and you go, okay, hell am I the enabler in this? You need to own up to what this is, this behavior in you. Hey, partner, you're going to have to go out and you're going to have to get some healing done. But I also recognize that I'm not going to hold space for this. No, you don't trigger those, abandonment issues that I'm used to coming up in old relationships. But this behavior, this controlling behavior or this codependent behavior, that's not healthy for either one of us. Can we fix this? Can we heal this? Let's take some space and see what we can do in that time apart. Gemini does feel like if you've had that conversation with the partner, they get it. The light bulb, you guys both had like that light bulb moment. Oh, not only is there an issue here, but we can finally get to the core of what it is. Gemini, if you have the courage to communicate that with your partner, but also to communicate your role in it and really own that, that's how you finally work past the karmas in Mercury retrograde. You're not going to skate by Mercury retrograde without dealing with some karmic issues, okay? But if you want to get back together with somebody, it really feels like as long as you're open to these conversations, it happens. And this is really beautiful energy. Okay, this is what it feels like you get back to. So you free yourself from this soulmate because the lessons got a little intense. You're staying optimistic. You are taking this really responsible outlook and, okay, I'll own my role in this too so we really can heal. You own yours. I'm going to own mine. Let's work on it. Let's heal. Okay, these issues, these are gone now. We have a game plan. We're committed to working through this. Gemini, it feels like you get to get back together and you have fun. And you might take it slow, but it feels like you're having fun. Clarified by honeymoon. For some of you, it's going to feel like a new phase, almost like you're back in that honeymoon stage. There's a lot of fun there, but Gemini, there's longevity. I'm telling you, there is longevity with this person. If you give them a second shot and you really see that somebody's working hard to correct an issue, not only do you move on, but you move on to this phase. It's a new phase for Gemini in love. There's fun, there's travel. And as Gemini, right, we love that. We love our travel, Gemini. This person may whisk you away somewhere, or it's just going to feel like, it almost feels like I'm getting a date that it's like a different setting for a date. It almost feels like there's a little spot you can find, maybe even in your hometown or your city. But it has a setting of maybe somewhere overseas. So when you guys go there, it really feels like you've traveled somewhere new. For some of you, it's a different kind of food that you're not familiar with, but it's really intriguing to you. It's like these really fun, playful moments. You get back to this. So stay positive, Gemini, because there really is a resolution in love here if you're going through a problem. Crowning the spread is give your relationship a chance. This is where it's at, okay? For those of you who are just not willing to do this, and and it's okay, Gemini, not everybody's meant to come back together. For some of you, you've been through the ringer with the person and enough's enough, okay? You see the red flags and you know that even though you're willing to put in the work, a partner either isn't willing or doesn't know how, and so you step out. That's okay, Gemini. Give love a chance. Stay optimistic about love. You don't need somebody to return in order to conquer karmic issues this month. Journaling, writing it down, having conversations out loud with yourself, just working through problems and issues and how maybe you have contributed to certain things. Even if you've contributed to certain issues by being really empathetic and being maybe a little too compassionate, you can recognize that, Gem. And again, you're not taking blame for what anybody else did wrong. That's not what this message is. This is all about conquering and healing karma once and for all. So when you move on, okay, so then you call in this brand new soulmate. Maybe they don't need to show up with those old karmic patterns. I guarantee you this person's going to show up with lessons because, again, that's what soulmates are meant to do. You're going to have more fun. It just feels like whether you're single and interested in calling somebody new in, or if you are in a relationship going through some struggles, even if you don't have a true separation, but maybe you are a little bit emotionally and mentally distant from one another, okay? I'm telling you, as long as you stay optimistic and you just very openly communicate about this, you guys move forward to this. You move forward to this. And if you do have the opportunity to travel this month, do it. For some of you, it's that travel and having fun while you're apart. It lightens, okay, that heaviness you've been feeling in your shoulders. This could have been weighing you down for quite some time, Gemini, but you come back with that renewed strength to then go and tackle this with a partner. I'm telling you, Gemini, some of you coming into the month of July separated will not be going into the month of August still separated. Some of you are really getting back together with somebody that you love, and it's really blessed. Look at this. Look at this. Safe to love, bottom of the deck. You take that retreat. You do that inner child work. You deal with these karmas. Just make sure you give that person a second shot if you still really love them and you see that they're putting work in, Gemini, because it feels like someone deserves that, okay? And if someone took space from you, Gem, it does feel like they know that you deserve that second shot at this, that you both deserve another shot at this. This isn't over, Gemini. This isn't over. For so many of you, keep your head up. You may have been struggling. I know how difficult separations can be. Don't be surprised if this person comes back ready to work, side by side, hand in hand with you. And before the end of the month, you're back to this together.